You know what I should have done? I'm like, because the camera. Okay.
And I lost you. The one next to the Wi-Fi. It looks like two triangles.
I legit feel like someone's grandma right now.
This is the first one.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm so honored to be your first guest. How about you introduce them?
All right. Well, I asked Roxy.
Okay, all right, I'll go. So, okay, my three favorite.
Mm-hmm.
This was really hard. I just picked like three of my favorites because narrowing it down to three is really hard.
Right.
But I vacillated between the first two for a really long time.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
I made a list of like all my favorites, right? And then I was like, okay, these two. If I were on a desert island, what would I want to watch for the rest of my life?
Yes.
So I chose Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
Pride and Prejudice, the Joe Wright version.
Correct.
And Beetlejuice.
Yep. You asked me, which made me laugh because you asked me if I had seen. Well, I said, I need to watch these then, and you're like, wait a second, you haven't seen Mean Girls, which does seem like a massive oversight.
Yes.
Okay.
Huge
Let's start
oversight on your part.
Okay. So I watched it last night.
Okay. Tell me everything.
No. I need to hear from you first.
Okay.
Look, I've got a lot to say about Mean Girls.
Okay. Good.
I got a lot to say about all of these. Let's talk about Mean Girls.
All right.
Okay, so tell me, why did you pick Mean Girls?
So many reasons. It's super brilliant, and I'm a gigantic Tina Fey fan, and this was like her first branch out from SNL, being the first female head writer of SNL. It's amazing in and of itself, and I just loved watching her growing up, and I would like wait for Weekend Update, and knowing this was coming out, I was like, I don't know, because a lot of times I feel like people in the sketch world don't make the transition to other avenues of comedy successfully because they're so used to writing for a specific medium, but I should not have underestimated her because she's awesome. And I know this was based on a book, which I've never read.
Oh, was it really? How did I?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's not called Mean Girls. It's called like Queen Bees and Wannabes or something like that. I don't even know. Anyway, yeah. So it's just brilliant, and it has me laughing from the beginning to the end. I feel like I could quote the entire thing, and so many moments are still relevant for me today, even still with that movie. I feel there's inner dialogue running through my mind. Like, is butter a carb? Yes. Like, moments like that. Is chocolate a carb? Yes.
I like it when she's asking Homeboy, what's the answer to this? 0? No. Wrong.
Wrong. So wrong. Yeah.
One of the things I dug about watching it was how, again, like, hindsight, like how Tina Fey, it's her voice. Like, it's so her voice.
Yes.
Specifically when Tim Meadows, which, man, my best friend and I had this conversation of who are the most underrated cast members of SNL of all time. And Tim Meadows really might be number one. Because he's so funny in everything he does, but he's usually never the lead. No,
I hear he's really difficult to work with.
Ah, well, that's kind of a bummer. But then
I don't know how true that is because I've fucking never met him. But I think that might be why we don't see more of him.
Oh, like doesn't play well with others, possibly?
Yeah.
Like my man Jim Carrey, notoriously difficult to get along with.
Is he? I haven't heard that. But I'm sure it's true. But obviously not to the extent that like people don't want to keep working with him.
Right. Well, it also helps that his first movie was gigantic blockbuster and has been churning out hits. So it's almost like, okay, we don't care how difficult you are. We're just we know people are we're making our money back with you.
Yeah, but there are so many people like that, right? That have big hits and get those opportunities, and they're just so shitty. People stop giving them those opportunities. So it's like he's got to be like cool enough that enough people like have continued to want to work with him.
Well, then I think about my man Steven Seagal, who is legitimately like a horrible human being, like legitimately awful, like. You know, right off the top, I played tennis with a stuntman who, like, was like, yeah, he beats us up. Like, he'll break people's arms because he's showing what a man he is. For your own pleasure, though, Google, YouTube. Oh my God, why is his name not coming? Kevin Hart, Steven Seagal story. It's the best Steven Seagal story I've ever heard.
Okay, I'm opening a tab right now so that I remember later. Kevin Hart, Steven Seagal story. Yes. Yeah, okay.
It's the best story I may have ever heard about a celebrity who's a dick on set and kind of getting theirs. But anyway, moving on. When Tim Meadows says when she's giving the speech at the end, that is such at the prom. Mm-hmm. That is so Tina Fey funny, and the way it's delivered. You know, normally we don't. There's no need for a speech. Yeah. Again, we usually just wrap this up, and she's totally giving the movie style, like, oh, let's all come together business at the end, but those little drops of perfection,
so good.
Yeah,
her voice is just, it carries throughout, even through all the characters, and I just love her voice, so that's probably why I love this movie so much. But also too, it's like in those moments I love that she has that commentary on like the ridiculousness and dramatization sometimes in movies and TV, you know, where it's like, and here's the moment we all come together, and it's like, no, really, we don't have to do this.
Yeah.
But we have to do this, but we don't have to do this that way.
Yeah. I was thinking, a friend of mine, she's in her late 20s, and she jokes with me constantly about all the crap she ingested as media in the early 2000s and the way it fucked with her head. Which, I don't know how you can't, like, yeah, the early 2000s did that, but if Mean Girls was one of the first things you saw as media, then it's like, wait a second, this is incredibly, an intelligent woman's voice coming through and speaking about the absolute ridiculousness of high school, which I think, not that I think, but like every generation had their, for me, it was Breakfast Club. But then you watch Breakfast Club again and you're like, no, this is and I mean
you
that.
You think so?
Breakfast Club?
I love it.
No, I love it too. And when I play, Don't You Forget About Me at gigs,
people go crazy.
They do, but then I go into the bridge when Mr. So-and-so picks up the letter, and I start reciting the Michael Anthony Hall monologue.
Oh, okay.
But the problem is that I don't remember it.
Why do you do that?
Because it's for the people who love the movie. I go, dear Mr. So-and-so. And then right away, I'm already starting off the bat that I don't remember the guy's name. And then I go, we think it's ridiculous for you to... And then I do a lot of somethings. But I just try to get to, in our simplest terms, we're a brain, a princess, and I go through the whole thing. And then the people who are in there, they get all excited. Okay, so anyway, wow.
That's so funny to me.
My OCD X-Men is making this difficult to stay on track. So what is it about? Is there a character that you like super like attached to, or not, or that you related to?
I mean, yeah, I think in high school it was definitely like Katie, right? Even though I'm not from Africa and then just landed in some like middle America
but weren't you
high school? Weren't you?
I mean, you as I know because you're my friend. You are of Persian descent.
Yes.
And you grew up in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
You might as well have been from Africa.
Definitely felt like I was at times, or
Yeah.
just from outside, right? Definitely just the feeling of like being an outsider, not really understanding uh, the social dynamics of high school. And, I think there are a lot of levels to the commentary in this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of which is definitely like how women treat one another. And I think when you're
Mm-hmm.
young, it's really um, common to treat one another as competition, right? I don't know if that's society pushing us to do that, if that's just human nature, if it's easier. I'm sure there are just like books and lectures about all this. And it's probably a little bit of all of them, right? But where was I
No.
going with this?
The women competition.
But yes. And then, the more you socialize with each other, the more you're like, I don't know why we have to do that. I don't know why we do that anyway. And I think a lot of it is that that's been the norm for so long that we just sort of expect that that's how we should behave until we realize that we don't need to, and it's not really behooving any of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think high school is really when you're trying to figure out, for the most part, those sorts of dynamics and really who you are and who you want to be friends with and what you value in people. And you're constantly second guessing yourself and them. And, you have so many behaviors that you like question yourself, and you're like, why do I do this? Do I do this for myself or for the comfort of other people or other people's expectations? And I think we all definitely have those moments where we look back in high school and we're like, why did I do or say X thing? That was terrible. I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible person for doing or saying that.
Yes.
But the other 5 people around you were doing it, so you did it too because you weren't strong enough in who you were to be like, I don't like this, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think there's a lot happening there. I think it's just really well written. It's presented as this like candy cane teen movie, but it's not really. It has so much commentary. Not. Yeah.
It's really full disclosure, when I was watching it, there were many times that I had to hit stop and walk away.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, because, I just took a class this weekend where I got real clear on that this reality is bullshit, and I operate from a different reality and I always have. So to see something that is so nailing the stupidity and the social, the social norms of like, oh, we're just going to act this way because we're just going to act this way. And like, this is just how we act. And I loved that from Katie's point of view, like, like her parents were studying the wildlife in Africa. Everything was just like, I am watching this from like, I am watching animals in the wild do what they do, which was great when they cut to her point of view of like, oh, this is how we'd handle it in the wild. And then she jumps on. Which, man, today's day and age, when she walks up to the table of black kids and tries to say hello, and she's so happy. She's so happy, like, oh, you'll be nice to me. And they were not down. Oh my God, that was great. That was so great.
Yeah, there were a lot of great moments. I'm curious, which moments did you like pause and walk away?
Basically when and this is the trouble with watching movies at home, that I can't, like, because I can do that. I can hit pause. I can go walk to the kitchen and do a thing. They were just, I get real uncomfortable in the moments of growth for the character where she's confronted with when she was confronted with, this is a sociological thing. And actually there's a part of the movie, and this doesn't help, is that I watched tons of video essays, and Mean Girls is a often talked about subject of one of my favorite YouTube channels called The Take. Okay. And one of the things they pointed out was Lizzie Kaplan's character. Of like, the argument was, isn't she the meanest girl actually? And
well, I think yeah. See, that's another. Sorry, you go on.
No. But that's no. Please, you're the guest.
But that's another thing too. As you watch it and you're like, she's so fixated on Regina, right? And Regina's this terrible person, and you're like, you're just as bad. You just
Yeah,
come in a different package, and you're
totally.
unwilling to recognize and own it. And you know, it's sort of like you sort of become the thing that you hate, right?
Yeah, and that's yes, yeah. That was the thing. Watching her and in Ratatouille, when he has when Remy has the moment, and uh that night after, he runs the restaurant, and he has the choice to go hang out with his family, and he kind of waves them off, and they're like, cool, because you do your thing, and then homeboy, human, is like, hey, you want to come up with me and cute French girl with bob cut, and he's like, no, I'm cool, like, I'm gonna have this moment to myself, and he like sits and looks at Paris, and like, as Ego's review is reading over the thing, I kind of wanted her to do that at the end, where it's like, okay, these are my friends, and like, and it was that thing of like, okay, we all have friends, and yeah, everyone's at peace, and everyone's kind of cool. Like, it was cool to see. It was, man, Rachel McAdams, what a badass, what a bad actor. God damn it!
And that's the other thing. That character's so good, and she plays it so well. And I've never seen her play anything as well as she played that character.
Well, hold on, time
And
out.
she probably never will.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But there was a moment when she had like, because you know me, it's like I can't not watch things like that. I got notes on Pride and Prejudice. Again, I've only seen half the movie, and there's still so much I want to say about it. But when she talks about when Rachel McAdams is scarfing down the food and she's getting all fat, which is hilarious. Where it's like, in what universe has that woman ever been fat? Like, clearly this one, because.
But I think that's also part of the commentary, right? Is it's like the skinny girl's never actually fat.
Right, and hey, fat ass, and everyone laughs, and it's a thing. But god damn, that's when an actor. Because okay, I'll say this: you do this to me a lot, and to me, this is a sign of an actor who like knows what. Not necessarily. It's not even that they know what they're doing. They're just so good at it that like when Regina's like, she's awful. She's Amy Poehler. My God! Every time she came on screen, I would scream "Polar!" And then when the dog was eating her boob and she didn't feel it, oh, it's so good. It's so stupid funny. But then she's at the table and they're being mean to her, right? And she's this awful person, you know it. And then when she just says, they're like, "You're wearing sweatpants on Monday. You can't sit here," and she just goes, "My sweatpants are the only thing I can. They're the only thing that fit." Yeah. And it was so vulnerable and real, and came out of nowhere in terms of, who her character was. But then it's like, damn, those are the chops she has of just being a badass. I mean, now I'm starting to cry, but like, it was so good. That was, and then there's the whole moment, like, well, not moment, but I did notice this with. Okay, we should probably move on to the other movie because I can't not talk about it, but. There are so many people in this movie, in Mean Girls, that I was like, oh, that's a bad like, oh, like, I mean, it makes me laugh that, like, I know it was Lizzie Kaplan's first thing, right?
It was her first, like...
Breakout?
Breakout. She was on Freaks and Geeks, and then...
shit. Well, then I'm gonna... Anyone who was on Freaks and Geeks was their first thing.
She had, like... She was in, like, 2 episodes of Freaks and Geeks, and she had, like, 5 lines total, right? In like 2 episodes.
Okay, so
and then I think she didn't do anything for like, not really anything prominent for a while, and then did Mean Girls, and then it was like, again, she really didn't do anything till Party Down, and then there was nothing till
really
Masters of Sex. Yeah, it was like
Sex is like how she entered my universe, and not because of certain clips that I watched on certain websites. Because sometimes I do that. I had a very awesome discussion with a French lesbian movie, and I got really into it. And my friend was like, "Oh, that's great. Did you see the whole thing?" And then that's when I realized, oh, wait a second, I didn't. In fact, I don't even know what this movie's about. and I had to reveal I'm a pervert. But sexiest scene I've ever seen in any movie. Blue is the warmest color.
It's supposed to be a good movie. I've still never seen it.
Yeah, and like there are parts of it that there were parts of it in the 3.5 minute clip I was watching that I was like, oh, there's probably a lot more going on than the 2 minutes and 20 seconds that I was watching.
But you didn't give enough to actually watch the movie.
It's coming. Well, okay, so my personal experience of watching Mean Girls and half of Pride and Prejudice was like, so let's talk about Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
This is, so the story is one I feel like every smart girl knows. Every girl that I like having conversations with knows, and sort of like that girl Amanda in the famous YouTube animated video who's never seen a Star Wars movie. This was before the prequels came out.
I don't know that.
Like it's my favorite. It's one of the first viral things ever because she's never seen Star Wars, but she's heard references from all her friends. So her friend was like, here, explain to me the story of the 3 Star Wars movies. So she just like just piecing together all the things she's heard and still doesn't really know what it's about. Like she refers to Han Solo as Hans. Like his name is Hans Olo.
Olo?
Yeah. Like
I love that.
It's really stupid funny, and that's how I am with Pride and Prejudice. So to have seen, like, there's another version of it. I don't know which other version of it was, which is funny because and only seen half of it. I could see why this one, because you're not the first person to say this was one of their favorite movies.
Really?
So when yeah,
Surprise.
Other people brought it up. And so what is it about Pride and Prejudice that you love?
It's my favorite book, first of all. That in 1984. Thanks. That in 1984, but yes. But 1984 is super dark. And it's not like I want to watch it every day for the rest of my life.
Correct.
So going back to Pride and Prejudice. I just love it. I just love this book.
Wait, hold on. 1984 almost made it to your top 3 list of movies or books?
No, I'm just saying, like, had there been a movie of that, it's not something I would have wanted to watch every day.
Because there is a movie.
That's the difference for me between Pride and Prejudice, or with Pride and Prejudice. So, I just really love the story. I think it's obviously like a romantic story, but there are a lot of other levels to it, right? Like I just love the connection she has, like, with her sister, and I think that's a huge one too. I don't think I would like this book as
with
much
all her sisters, or just
with all her sisters, but mostly with Jane. Right? It's like this is the story of a sisterhood and a friendship and family, and it wouldn't be nearly as dynamic or interesting if I didn't also get to watch that relationship in tandem with, like, her romantic relationship blossom, right? And feel invested in that character. And also her mom. Like, her mom is hilarious. And I remember, like, reading the book and thinking the mom was really funny. And I watched the BBC version of this show, and I was like, why isn't she funny?
Right.
She's so funny in the book, and I was like, did I make that up? Did I just see something that wasn't like, no, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be funny, and this lady's just very stiff and British. Or maybe she's funny to British people, and we just have different senses of humor, and I don't know.
Wait, have we talked about the breaking in the middle of a scene in, like, sketch and, like, improv? Have we talked about this?
I feel like we have.
Where do you sit on that?
I think if it's earned, it's valid.
Okay.
I think, and I was talking about this with friends recently, going back and watching, like, Jimmy Fallon on SNL, and he would break all the time. Right. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, it's funny. And now I'm like, it's not funny. He breaks all the time, even when it's not funny, even when it's not earned. Like, be a professional, keep it together. But if someone is if they are, like, doubling down and it's just off the chain and you cannot hold it together, that's a whole, you know what I mean? Like, that's valid. And I also think that if you're, you know what I mean, going back to that medium, like, like the people who are hosting who aren't like professional like sketch performers, if they break, I think it's also a lot more okay, because you're just that's not your jam, so it's fine if you're not perfect at it, right?
When
it makes
Ryan
it funnier.
Gosling loses his shit on Saturday Night Live, it makes me happy every time.
Because he's so like brooding anyway, so for him to laugh hysterically is really fun.
And it also should, like, there's certain hosts on SNL that I'm like Daniel Craig. He commits so hard because he's just a dope actor, but he commits to these characters so hard that you're like, I love this guy. Like, I love everything about this guy because he's just going all out. Like that sketch, the last one of the sketches he did in the last one where he was James Bond, like straight up, you're watching James Bond be James Bond, but then like he's at a table and he starts winning at craps and he gets all excited like in Vegas.
Watch that sketch. It's really,
and like
really funny.
And the sexy girl's being all like, James. He's like, yeah, hold on 1 second. He's like, oh, this is so exciting. Yeah, I love it because I think it's because I love comedy podcasts. For instance, there's one podcast like Super Ego that's really cut and structured. The producer of that one, he really cuts it so that they're telling a story. It's all improvised, but they cut out all the laughing.
Okay.
Whereas like my favorite ones are when they lose it completely. And like there's like a solid 10 seconds of them trying to catch their breath and like trying to like focus again. And like they're laughing off mic, and it's just really, really funny. Wow, tangent. So obviously you related most to well, not obviously. Who did you relate most to in
Lizzie Bennett? We all want to be Lizzie Bennett.
Okay, you please, wax. That is the meme. We all want to be Lizzie Bennett.
We all want to be Lizzie Bennett.
I mean, we all do, because I was watching this being like, what a badass. And by the way, Keira Knightley, bad like
right?
Crushing. And this was a movie where I just got to give this observation, because this is why I'm like, oh, wait a second. Film nerd in me is actually kind of upset that this isn't pointed out more often as a great movie, because there's the way it's the camera work and the way the staging and the blocking in film, like they're long cuts, because in a movie like this there should not be sharp cut, there shouldn't be quick cuts, and the close-ups are to get inside the character's head, but like those long shots during the parties where you see people crossing and you see their face, and like the slightest look will tell you so much about that character's universe in this weird proper like universe where you don't think this many individual things are going on, and they just so are that I'm like, I mean, honestly, that was one of the reasons, like, I tried to wake up at 9 so I could finish the rest of the movie today. I didn't. So there's that, but like that, it's so good that I mean, like I was, and then the movie is filled like with, oh my god, it's them, oh my god, it's them, oh my, like there isn't what and like when our girl Dame Judi Dench shows up, I went, oh homegirl, like she's such a bad motherfucker. And then once I saw the thing she was gonna do, I was like, oh like I don't know if there's anyone else who I would have picked more. And I have heard, again, Star Wars not really knowing the story style, that in the previous incarnations of Pride and Prejudice, there was something off about certain characters. Like you said, with the mom, like she's so great. I love her as an actress. And I love her and she's so funny. Like when she's chasing, again, I just saw the scene, but she's chasing after Lizzie after homeboy tries to propose to her, and she's like, no. And the mom's running after her, like
through the chicken,
and they're running with her. Down. Like the little geese are running with her, and Lizzie's full stride, arms pumping. I gotta get the out of here. And then later on, when Donald Sutherland, anytime there's awesome like father figure moments, I cry. Yes. When he's like, if you don't marry him, your mother isn't going to talk to you. But if you marry him, I will not talk to you.
Yes.
Right? And then she's like, I'm never going to talk to you again. As she's chasing her, like she's like running after her, and the shot's like it's a huge wide shot, so you actually see the ridiculousness of starting at like point A and then chasing her all the way off
way
the
down
screen.
the lane. Yeah,
I'm never gonna talk
to you again. Get back here. Yeah, I love that, and yeah, the movie touches on, like all the important relationships you have, again, going back to with family. I think the dynamic between like daughters and fathers, I think like that's shown really well, and it shows like the different kinds of daughters, like Lydia, the one that runs off, and he's like, she's probably his least favorite, but he's still like, I have to take care of this one, right? Or Lizzie, who's his favorite, and they're almost like friends, right? It's sort of like them two whispering in the corner all the time, or like, too, and then I think like you can be two different people, like you can be Darcy and Lizzie, and like your like sisterhood and your friendship can be the most important relationship to you. It's like at the end of the day, what really matters to you, what really matters to these people, and like you're saying, it's freaking gorgeous. I think it just captures you're like, why don't I live in the English countryside? Fuck.
I want to walk.
Everything is green and it rains, and the way that they use light is just amazing in that movie. The way you watch it like play off of their faces, it's very natural, and the camera work too, like you're talking about, the way like his sequence shots. I think Joe Wright is really good at using sequence shots, and you're just you feel like you're in like the character's shoes, like you said, like at a party, right? And everything's swirling around you, but you're still, even though the camera's still moving and you're still seeing other characters, your thought pattern is with the character, right? So you're still thinking what they're still thinking, even though you're observing other people as they're walking through this room. And I love the way that they did that, because you're filling in the blanks of everything that's not being said.
Totally.
I think it's just really good filmmaking.
It's brilliant.
Underrated.
I don't know how I haven't nerded out. Well, obviously because I haven't seen it until last night. That's probably why I haven't nerded out. About like that aspect of like of just, I mean those tracking shots through the party. I mean that should be like tons of video essays, because there's like it's not zoom in on this character and then back out so you see the party. Like there's that one shot of like when they get to the party where homeboy doesn't show up because he had another gig. I love how in my head this is because
he had another
gig. In my head he had another gig. I think was he in jail? The soldier guy, which
no, he wasn't in jail.
He went off for a gig.
Yes. Got what would we call it? Deployed?
Deployed. Okay. So yeah, his job.
I don't know if they call it deployed, but that's what we say.
I think it is. Well,
Okay.
America. I also think that's just a word that you can use to describe soldiers going off to
describe things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
exactly.
and I just think, we all want to be Lizzie Bennet in the end. Like, we all want to be chased through the rain in the English countryside by really intelligent, hot, rich people.
Totally. So let's go here to this thing. Whenever I watch like old school shit, and it's so fucking old school that like new school me is like actively like, oh yeah, like you have to marry this dude who sucks because and then that's the part that and then like for most of it I was sitting here like this, like, wait, why do they need to marry again? Oh, because if homeboy dies, if their dad dies, because they're not allowed to just have which but it's theirs, but it's super not theirs, so you just gotta get married. There was a line where a homegirl goes to her sister or I don't, well, again, I need to watch it a few times and pay attention, but where she's says she accepted homeboy's engagement, the weird autistic no charm guy, which I felt real bad for him because I was like, oh dude, I actually feel like you more than anyone else. The thing though
is like you feel bad for him,
but then you also super do not.
Don't.
No,
because he is doing such a good job at being that character. You're like, fuck, this guy's on a whole other level of like, I will annoy the shit out of you. That you're like, I just have to watch an appreciation for how good he is right now.
And like, we all know the guy that's like, oh my God, I love that. You know, he's so, this person's so awkward. But they're cool. And then you're with them and you're like, yeah, wait here. Cool. I gotta walk away from you. I've had like 30 seconds and I need it.
Yeah. You're like, that person's not bad. We need to be nice. And then you're like, I don't have it in me to be nice.
No, not now. It's been 5 minutes and I've listened to you talk of nothing.
Exactly. And then last thing I want to say is just, I love, I think what I really love about watching like two people fall in love or come together or however you want to describe it is the tension. And I think this story and this movie does tension so well. It's like, not the like, will they, won't they, but the like, are they going to? And are they going to? I don't like just the question of even, are they, is there going to be a, will they? I think is huge. And for me, I think like that's where the tension lies. It's, and I think it does it really well in all the things that are unsaid and all the moments where they're, just sharing space and it doesn't feel slow. It just feels very intentional. And I love that,
It does not feel slow in the slightest. I hate that about a lot of British. It's like, God, you're still walking on the countryside. You've already talked about this like 6 times and you're still talking. Oh, wait, you guys got nominated. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But this movie, I feel like when they're talking in the countryside or walking in he made it look so beautiful. You can't not be entertained when you're doing it.
And all the actors did such a great job of like the criticism I've heard of the previous Darcys was that they weren't doing what our man was doing, which was like this, okay, he's kind of stuck up and he's got a weird ass personality and it's like, he's not, he's kind of got a weird autism thing going on, but he had so much heart that it was like, I can't hate on you. Like, I actually want you to be happy. And other ones was like, well, I don't want that dick to be happy. I don't want that to be happy.
And you're like, dude, this is clearly a good person on some level because he's an amazing friend and an amazing brother and an amazing nephew. It's just like, and you really understand why, like, they're like, no, he's a really good person once he lets you in and you're in his, like, circle. Like, he's your dude. But, you really got to, like, get past, like, all his which I also feel like is me. You know what? I take it back. I super take it back because I answered instinctively saying that
Lizzie. We all want to be.
We all want to be Lizzie.
It's correct.
We all want to be Lizzie.
We are making t-shirts.
I feel like I made a TikTok about this actually like a little over a month ago, and I was like, I recently came to the conclusion that I am not in fact Lizzie Bennett. I am in fact Darcy, and when you're not rich and attractive, that's very repulsive.
Question: did more than 10 people like it? I really hope so.
I don't know.
Okay,
I only have like 2 followers, so probably not.
So maybe 1 like, hopefully. I
made like 3 TikToks ever.
My friend is forcing me to get into TikTok, and boy, oh boy, that is rough for me. It is rough. I'm watching. It's just being like, and see, this is the funny thing. I would watch yours because you're a good actor and you're a good performer and you actually have taste. Where it's like I'm watching these things, I'm like, this is a really funny concept, but this is awful.
Most of it is awful. Most of it's trash. But every now and then you get a lot of really cool gems.
Yeah.
There's this one dude I follow and he's effing brilliant. I don't know why he's not like a... I hope that when quarantine's over, I see him everywhere because he's hilarious.
With that being said, from what I understand about TikTok and the clicks within TikTok, I don't know if the Jane Austen TikTok is a huge thing. I would hope it would be.
I don't think that Jane Austen anything is huge outside of England.
Again, with that being said, all the smart cool girls I know constantly refer to. All right, let's move on.
Thanks.
And your third movie, which you struggled over,
Did.
is Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Now, what is it about Beetlejuice that you love? Because when you did, let's give a shout out to The Matrix and oh my God, why can't
The
I remember
Addams Family.
And Addams Family. I was legit rooting for Addams Family.
Really? Oh,
Totally.
Don't tell me that. Now I feel bad.
No. But Beetlejuice actually, and here's the thing. It actually made more sense to me.
Okay, why?
I felt like Matrix was. Well, we'll get to that. But okay. Matrix is one of those. If you understand, Matrix is one of those that if you don't mention Matrix, it feels kind of dumb, because it's like it says a thing in a really cool way that's incredibly entertaining, and really gets it across better than anyone who's tried to say that message before, at least from my point of view.
Yes, and if you watch it, because I recently realized that it was like the 20th anniversary or some bullshit that I don't want to think about. It holds up so well. Yeah. You're like, damn, this movie's off the chain.
Everything in that movie pops. But everything.
Yes, everything.
It kind of reminds me of watching Terminator 2 to be like, wait a second, that movie was made in early 90s, and that movie holds up. Like, special effects, like, I still enjoy this movie. But anyway, we didn't choose Matrix. No. And I like to say we, because you did ask, and I kind of didn't want you to say Matrix because I felt either Beetlejuice or Addams Family actually, those two were the ones that were like, who's gonna say Beetlejuice is your favorite movie when someone asks you? Like, and I was like, and then you're like, yeah, I think it's. I was like, yes. So, what is it specifically about Beetlejuice that you love?
Well, I myself am strange and unusual. So, yes, I think I just love it. Number one, I'm a Tim Burton fan, and obviously, and just a lot of things. I just love the concept. It still feels very fresh and different to me. I love that, this girl can communicate with the ghosts in her house, and the ghosts in her house don't even know that they're ghosts. And then there's this whole dynamic between, like, these people start to feel like her real parents, because her real parents are just, like, very detached. And I think parts of it really, I think growing up, even though this movie was before my time, I feel like growing up there was a lot I felt like I could relate to. Again, I was an outsider. I felt like I lived in this weird small little town that didn't get me, and that my parents were detached, and I lived in this house with all this really funky furniture that I just couldn't touch. And my mom was super posh and chic, but just didn't get children. And that's not
Catherine O'Hara, ladies and gentlemen. I just got to give a shout out to Catherine O'Hara,
and she's so good.
She's so good in every. You know what?
In everything.
She is in my. I always have
so underrated.
Everything she's ever done has been brilliant. She also said my favorite Meryl Streep story. I think I told you that story. That, like, she was working. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm working with Meryl Streep," and was like, "Oh." And it's like a heavy movie, and like she's the first day on set, like she shows up and Meryl Streep's totally like, it's some scene around a table in a restaurant, and Meryl Streep was like talking to the other actors at the table, just like, oh my God, I found this place on Melrose that has like these dresses, and you would think like, and she's just totally like being a normal person, and then the director's like, all right, we're good, okay, you ready, you ready, Meryl? And she's like, yeah, I'm ready.
And then she's like, Meryl,
bang, yeah, and then and Catherine O'Hara's watching the whole time, just like, am I really, like, she's doing her thing, and they go cut. Oh my God. And this one dress, which I picked up luckily. And that's when that was those stories of like, I hear stories of like, oh, Heath Ledger, was so dark on that character, killed him. And then cut to Michael Jai White. Like, and I watch this interview all the time where he's like, they ask him like, so was Heath? And he's like, man, that noise. We never had so much more fun. He was so awesome. He was so fun on set. We all loved him, and he was great. Like, no, he didn't even die on that movie. He died in some other movie. But anyway, the mom detached, house you can't touch anything. You can talk to ghosts.
Yes.
Well, I guess
who just isn't afraid of the dark and the macabre.
Right.
I love that. She's just like, I embrace that. Yeah, because she's like, I relate way more to that than what's actually going on in my life or a house or anything else around me.
So the way it's funny because I didn't watch this movie recently, but how could you not? I mean, not knowing what Beetlejuice is if you have seen it. The way the movie resolves, like, okay, she has a balance between the two. She accepts her parents for who they are. They actually accept her for who she is. They actually see she wasn't crazy, which, boy, I'd like every child to have that experience at some point. But was there any of that for you?
No.
Okay, very good. Short answer. I dig it.
All of my choices clearly have like very happy endings, right? I was like, if it's gonna be a favorite movie, I want to feel good about it at the end, and that movie has one of the happiest endings. I feel like, to me, because that song, I think it's Harry Belafonte. That's like my happy song. It's like, if I'm really, yes, I'm like, if I'm in a bad mood or I need to like pump myself up, that's the song I listen to because it never fails to make me want to dance. And I'm like, how could you not feel good after listening to that song at the end of a movie? Or just ever.
Well, I like how you said it, like at the end of a movie. If you hear that song at the end of a movie, it's perfect. Especially in that moment.
Yeah. It's so good. And just the set design is so cool. You know what I mean? And I just love all the like little snippets of humanity. Like you're focused on the general story, right? But then it's like when he's in the waiting room, right? You're like, oh God, that is what a waiting room feels like, afterlife or no.
It actually feels that way.
It feels like you have died and you will be there for eternity, and you are surrounded by weirdos.
Aside from Winona Ryder's character, were there any other characters that you connected with, and like,
or was it mostly her?
Yeah,
but it is really fun just to watch Beetlejuice, right? It's like it didn't occur to me until I was maybe an adult that was Michael Keaton also. Like I knew it was Michael Keaton, I just didn't put together that was also like, because I don't know. Again, he was like more before my time.
Yeah,
he's made a resurgence now, but like,
right,
or he's made a comeback now, I should say. But I think like the only thing I ever really knew him from during that time was like Batman, right?
I thought you were gonna say Gung Ho, and that would have been really funny and random.
Never seen Gung Ho.
Saw it in the theater.
But wow, okay, no, I need to watch it.
No, you don't. I'm telling you right now,
I don't need to watch it.
No, it's a good movie, but you don't need to watch it. You weren't a little Asian kid that was like, oh, there are going to be Asian people in this movie? Mom, Dad, we need to see this.
Oh,
God, that's a real thing. And then I watched it. Then this was a very me moment as I'm watching. I'm like, it's okay. Then, like I was like, even then I was like, I'm not going to say it's one of my favorites just because there are people who kind of look like me. And what's up with Japanese people? They're weird. Yeah, Michael Keaton. But
he's so brilliant as that character, and you just get to he goes like, you know, to
he goes
100.
there. Yeah,
he goes there, and he just fully commits, and you're like, dang, I've never seen another character like that. I love it. It's so fun, and you never get to see him like do that again. He's never done anything where he's gone like just double down that way. You know,
well,
he's usually like very dry.
But like when I see him in like I feel like he does do that, but it's all totally within the character. Like my favorite Michael Keaton movie is a movie called My Life, and written by one of the absolute great screenwriters of all time. I cannot pull right now, but it bombed. It was about a guy who has cancer, terminal cancer, and he's and this is the 80s too, so like having a video camera was a big deal. He simultaneously was videotaping messages to his unborn son who he wasn't going to see because of the cancer, and trying to deal with dying. Nicole Kidman plays his wife. Bradley Whitford's in it. It's really, really great. Wow. But in the context of this PR guy in LA who is kind of trying to make peace with himself, and then like he could be super open with his son on camera, but he can't be with anybody else in his life, and just like how the growth does one of these by the end, and like I'm weeping. But in the context of that character, he is in it. Like he is totally that guy. He's every turn he takes, you feel. And Beetlejuice to me is his like, okay, if you didn't get that he can go where he needs to go, here is the example of, he's always been one of my favorite actors, like for reals. Like having grown up with him, just being like, wait, this guy is the and so when he did have his resurgence, like I was so happy. And I think he's one of those guys who left the game to like raise his family and then like
Probably.
or something like that. I don't know. Well, let's just say that. So he's like,
it's probably coupled with like
drug problem,
a few bombs. No, I was gonna say like a few like unsuccessful movies, right?
Yeah. Well, I think of those actors who are just so like,
no one ever takes a break when they're like at the top.
Yeah.
Except for Audrey Hepburn.
Oh,
but yeah,
the best. All right, so here's why I like asking people what their 3 favorite movies are.
Okay.
So here's the whole point. But not the whole point, but this is why I especially these 3.
I want to know.
Well, you kind of went through it all with me. I find that that people's favorite movies say so much about them without saying anything. Like they don't even know how much they're talking about themselves when they start talking about the movies they love. Mean Girls, you are really smart. You are, you're smart enough to have been aware during high school that this is dumb. Like you are going through the motions of a high school and just being like, this is weird. Especially that scene where oh my God, it was so funny when Tim Meadows is being all like, all right, I got this. And then the girl talks about her flow and her tampon. And he's
and
like,
her
okay,
wide set vagina.
I can't do this. I can't do this. And then that was kind of like the Tina Fey moment of like, okay, here's the thing I really want to say. Like this is the thing I would love to say to all young women, and I'd like to do this thing. So it was really, really powerful. But that thing in a person that like, again, you're from Africa, even though you're not from Africa. And she's a kind person who is in the moment, being pulled in all these different directions. But the kindness in her is just, this is my personal experience of the movie. Kind of glad I didn't see it in 2005 when it came out. Because I've only had that experience in watching a movie. I've had it a couple times, most notably The Mask, when I saw Cameron Diaz. And every time she came on the screen, I would just go, oh my God, she's fine. I saw that with my 10th grade girlfriend. Not the best move I've ever done. I had to watch Wonder Woman 3 times to stop being distracted by how fine she is and peak Lindsay Lohan. I was like, this is my dream ideal of she's smart, she's kind, she's trying, she's not perfect, but at the end her nerdiness and who she is as a person comes out, and like kind of who she is as a leader, and inadvertently not knowing she's a leader. And that's something actually really, I don't know if you know that about you.
I did not know that about me. Am I a leader?
You kind of are.
Cool.
You kind of are.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like in the circles we run in, I know that we look at you as like someone like, oh wait, Roxy's talking. Like we need to shut the fuck up. Yeah.
That's nice.
Because you bring all of these things to the table. And it's like her perspective isn't. So that's part of that, of Mean Girls. Now, Pride and Prejudice, we all want to be Lizzie Bennet. My God, that is.
And some of us are just Mr. Darcy because we're assholes.
Most of us are Mr. Darcy. Let's not even fuck around with this. No, it's like, oh, we don't want to be that guy. We are so that guy. We are so that guy.
But without the money.
Yeah. Which made me think, like, how much money does that have? Is he the richest person on the goddamn planet?
He had, like, all the money in England, pretty much.
Okay, basically. Like, there's the Queen and then Mr. Darcy. Because the way they treated that... Like, when he walked in and everyone stopped, I was like, damn. Old school. I was going to make an 80s commercial reference.
Bill Gates showed up.
Yeah, totally. But even Bill Gates wouldn't even do that. It would have been like...
no.
Like, he would... man. Dope. But then, like you said, your family means a lot to you. And the relationships you choose, like the people you care about, like the friendships that you have with just the friendships that you cultivate and that you keep are very similar to when I was watching it between Lizzie and Jane. Just that you are legit there for them, and you have their back, and you also have you, which is really fucking cool. Which is super Lizzie. And we're also trying to figure out some like our man Darcy. I'm sorry.
How to socialize properly.
And the front of the shirt says we all want to be Lizzie Bennett, and the back
and the back says, but we're all Mark Darcy.
We're actually Darcy. We're Mr. Darcy. But we are Mr. Darcy. God, that's so good. I bet that t-shirt would sell.
That's a really good idea. We should make t-shirts like that.
Totally. I would wear it all the time, and people
I'm not kidding. I would wear it all the time, and we would make so much money. We could make a TikTok to sell them.
Yeah, done. You sell it to your 2 followers, I'll sell it to my 0.
Okay. Except everyone on TikTok is like under 15, so TikTok might not be they might have not read this book yet, and they might not get the reference.
It's very difficult to talk about TikTok with other human beings, because I'm like, this is awful. My nephew Axel did a thing where he poured water on the ground outside, said, look, it's evaporating.
Cool story, Axel.
Yeah. I was like, really? I'm watching this. I am wasting my life right now. And then Beetlejuice. Like you said, the connection with, at least when you talk about it, what I hear is someone who doesn't see the darkness as separate. Like you said, a fascination with the macabre, and also who doesn't see things like, I have a feeling. Well, not even I have a feeling, because you're my friend, and you're nice to me, and you always have been. That like, if someone walks up to you, is like, I can see ghosts. You're like, cool. Like, yeah. Like, I kind of get it, if not totally get it. like, look, I keep that one on the down low, but in the sense that like she's this person who, Winona Ryder's character specifically, it's like, okay, here's the real world that everyone just says is normal, but it's fucking insane. You're not allowed to touch anything. Like they're detached. They're not here with me, and yet there are these 2 ghosts, which is weird to see Alec Baldwin play such like a kind, normal dude. I
know, right? That's the other thing, is you watch it and you're like, this is Alec Baldwin. Like, are you sure there weren't 2 of them? This has got to be a different person.
Right.
And then it's like, when I was younger and I watched it, I was like, this old man and this old lady, they died and they live in this attic. Right? And now that I'm an adult, I watch it and I'm like, wow, I get young Alec Baldwin. I get it. He was like so much beautiful. I was like, I get why people liked to watch him.
Oh boy, I one of the movies that I can that made when I talk about this, the 3 favorite movies thing, a friend of mine was just like, you always say, like, someone will bring up their favorite movie and they're like, oh yeah, that's one of mine, and they're like, how many do you have? And I was like, oh, let me make a list. And I was like, I'll try to keep it under 50, and it ended up being like 83 before I started to have to like pull, like just rattled off like, oh, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. Hunt for the Red October is my young Alec Baldwin
I've never seen that.
porn. Oh my god, it is.
That's your Alec Baldwin
young porn. Alec Baldwin porn. I can't get enough of it. He's
awesome.
He's like manly, but he's also like I'm an analyst. Why are you sending me on this mission? Like it's and he's so smart because he's an analyst and he speaks Russian and shit like that.
That needs to be a new term. Young Alec Baldwin porn.
Which one is it?
You are? You're young Alec Baldwin porn.
Oh, you're using it as a description of a human being.
Yeah. You know what you look like? Young Alec Baldwin porn.
So, oh god, seriously, when I meet dudes who look like who remind me of young Alec Baldwin, I'm like, I'm just going to stare at you. Like, and you know what? You know it. Like, because he knew it. But those things, and then the thing you talked about, like, in all of those movies, there's a relationship with your family and the parents, and like, the piece you did about your dad, which I still think could be like that could seriously. I mean, I'm a big fan of that being you're like part of your one woman show. Which, if there's anyone who would actually be psyched to go do a one person show, it's you.
That's nice. Thank you.
No, you know what that means.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
No, I know what that means.
Yeah,
I've
you know
seen
exactly what
enough
it
one-person shows to know
We all
it's
know.
not a good idea to do a one-person show.
You
for
know that's
most
part of the
people.
setup of my show.
I know, and that's why
I'm
your show's actually
trying
really
to
brilliant.
make
Your
it-
show is my favorite one-person show I've ever seen.
Look, it actually does.
I'm not kidding.
Thank you. That's actually
Because
really
it doesn't feel like a show.
Yeah, the thread with these three movies that I see is really a kindness and a strength, and like of an individual who is weirdly an outsider, but is actually the most intimate of insiders.
That's true. They are very intimate insiders.
Yeah. Like they might seem a certain way to certain people, so they're like, "Oh, you're that." But then like once they're here with you, it's like, you know, like walls and barriers go down, and there's just like, this is just who I am, and it is irresistible.
I'm so glad that I could introduce you to these two movies and that you liked them. If you hated them, I would have been really sad.
All right, so that's the first one. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much
Thank you for having me. This is fun. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
I really dug hearing you dig into that, because these are great movies, and like, I mean, they're just like, it's almost just like, yeah. What's fun when I and again, why you're one of the first group of people that I asked. It's like, hey, interesting, smart friend. I'm going to listen to you be interesting and smart for a while about something that's really awesome. And yeah, I really, really dug this. Like, I'm like, it's kind of funny that I'm laughing to myself that like, okay, what do I have to do today? Because whenever I have another hour and a half to finish Pride and Prejudice, because I got to get to it.
Yes.
Like that's where I am with that movie. Like, wait, I got to finish this because it's so good.
I'm glad you're enjoying it that much. That makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I didn't send you on a chase. Please text me when you finish it and let me know.
I will.
Your feelings at the end.
Yeah, I kind of. Yeah. This is one of those like, this is. Oh man, like I'm so. Every time those two get together and start talking, it's just. That is just the greatest. I'm just like, ooh, she's all smart and he's all like this, and she's all trying to be like this, and she is like this, but she's also where he's like this, and. Take some of this because I'm smart, but I'm also. And then
like, it's raining, and you're like.
Yeah, it's raining. Someone's gonna die of a fever of 98.9. God, I love that old school. That makes me laugh every time. My sister's the one who really busts out jokes like that, where it's like, you know, like, ooh, you can buy a car for a shiny nickel and like that. All right, I will leave you be.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was good chatting with you. Thank you.
This was the best. Thank you.
This was the best. You're the best.
Bye, Roxy.
Bye.